What we want to do is approach these questions like a detective, connecting the dots. What's going on? What exactly is the question asking? I have this question highlighted in yellow, indicating that when you get words that end with a period, that's not your question, that's just the background, that's just your scenario. Highlighted in blue is the actual question. The question says, a client with a C3 level spinal cord injury is attending a community mobility outing at a shopping mall. During the activity, the client reports a severe headache and asks to return to the rehab facility. The OTA observes that the client is sweating heavily. What should the OTA do first? Answer choice A. Take the client outside the mall to cool down in fresh air. B. Inspect the client's urinary catheter and drainage bag. C. Contact the rehabilitation center's transportation service. Or D. Immediately recline the client using the tilt-in space wheelchair feature. Okay, from a detective standpoint, the background is telling me several things, which are basically clues, trigger words, charades. They're trying to guide you to the right answer. The fact that this patient has a C3 level spinal cord injury, it tells me this patient probably has minimal function from the waist down. It also tells me that this patient has a severe headache and they're sweating heavily. Okay, as I connect the dots, I'm thinking with this spinal cord injury, severe headache, plus heavy sweating, they might have autonomic dysreflexia. Let me see if I can justify an answer that leads to autonomic dysreflexia. Starting with answer choice A, it says that we need to take the client outside of the mall, let them cool down in some fresh air. Okay, that helps with the sweating factor, but how's that going to help the headache? How does that correlate with the C3 level spinal cord injury? So therefore, I'm going to process each answer choice by saying A may not be right because it answers one problem, but not both problems. It helps with the sweating, but not the headache. And that's something to keep in mind. If they give you multiple problems in the scenario, your answer choice must be solving multiple issues. Answer choice B. Inspect the client's urinary catheter and drainage bag. Looking at the question, it doesn't say that this patient has a urinary catheter and a drainage bag. However, here's where I utilize my knowledge. Knowing that this patient has a C3 level spinal cord injury, I can reason that they probably do have a urinary catheter with that type of injury. And a malfunctioning urinary catheter could cause a patient to have autonomic dysreflexia, which is a life-threatening medical emergency characterized by severe headache and sweating heavily. Therefore, I'm going to reason in my mind, B could be right because this situation describes a patient potentially being affected by autonomic dysreflexia. Answer choice C. Contact the rehabilitation center's transportation service. I definitely want to get them out of the mall and either to a medical facility or at least back to the patient's facility that they're at. However, that would be the first thing that I do. If this is autonomic dysreflexia, then I need to inspect and make sure this catheter is not causing the problem. Because if it is causing the problem, that's something I can do and I need to do and I must do first. Therefore, I would reason in my mind, C's probably not right because it's not the first thing that I would do. Answer choice D. Immediately recline the client using the tilt-in space wheelchair feature. This answer comes off actionary, and we know we need to make an actionary intervention. However, bringing in our knowledge, we know that reclining the client using the tilt-in space wheelchair feature is actually harmful to the patient. It's something that I would not want to do. It would only make the situation worse. Therefore, I'm going to reason D is not right because it is harmful to the patient. By process of elimination, B falls out as the right answer. Inspect the client's urinary catheter and drainage bag because it very well could be the problem that's causing potentially autonomic dysreflexia. This is an example of approaching the situation from a detective standpoint and weaving your knowledge into the situation, rather than leading with knowledge first, because a question could be so carefully crafted, you may not grasp what the right answer is. And at that point, it's easy to panic, it's easy to break down, and it's easy to start seeing what's not there and missing what is there. Therefore, we want to start off in detective mode and move into knowledge to verify and confirm the dots that we are connecting in the question.